with a temperature check and wait till people come in. But Wonka, would you like to start us off with temp check?
Yeah, thanks, Nate. I'm feeling good. I feel recharged. I feel that I have some new ideas that I didn't have some time before. Um, Excited to have people back to have advice from all the stewards and to see what ideas have they done while they were away, and also excited in Gravity that this week we will have 2 Twitter Spaces, and we will be talking around a topic that it's very interesting and something we haven't talked much about, and it's like welfare at work. Very interesting. So everyone is invited. I'll just paste the. Oh, it's already pasted. The invitation in the chat of this call. I'll pass to Tam.
Hey, so excited to be back and seeing all the great things that are happening all over the place right now. Had a bunch of calls already, and it's only Tuesday, so that feels really great too. Looking forward to the rest of the week. Mostly out of the loop on everything, so looking forward to catching up. And probably don't have so much more to add right now, but I will pass to Livia.
Thanks, Tam. I'm excited that you guys are back too. And yeah, I'm feeling like there's a lot of in terms of vibes, and I want to share the Polly's results today. I think internally, especially in the Stewards group, it feels like there's a morale that is down, and I think there's a lot of cleanup that we have to do. Gideon and I were just chatting, and I'm just feeling inspired to share a little bit. I think it would be really great for us to get rid of some of the bureaucratic structures we have that are not needed anymore. And also to have a clear talk about like how are people feeling, and if people are not feeling great in the TEC, how can we make that transition happen? We were also talking in SoftGov about creating some type of celebration for like what the stewards were once. How is this working group operating for so long, and now that we have a transition, to celebrate a lot of the contributions people gave, a lot of what the working groups did, and maybe create some type of like acceptance with the death. We talked about this at some point in the TC, but there is a lot of things dying, and letting that happen to open space for what is new that wants to emerge. And there's a lot of people that are excited about so much work, and celebrating that as well. I think I'm probably out of time. I would have more to share, but I would do it another time. I'll pass it to Mitch.
Yeah, just getting back in the loop. Same as Tam, just lots and lots of things to catch up on. Not much to add. I'm just looking to just stay in my lane and keep working on the reward system working group, and picking up the threads on how to keep that running and how to improve it. And I think I'll just be stepping back from any of these higher level discussions. And I'll pass it to Gideon.
Thanks, Mitch. Well, I'm just catching back up too. I just had a great road trip with my wife. We spent 3 weeks like going up the California, Oregon, Washington coast. So I'm refreshed. I've been, I was talking to, Livy and I were just talking. And, the thing I've been feeling a lot lately is like, it feels to me like there's this kind of new generation of leaders. I don't know, like there's this group of folks who are have come into the TEC over the last couple of, 3-4 months, and they're super excited. Like they're very optimistic and got a lot of energy. And I feel like the thing I care the most about right now, aside from the mission, is just supporting these folks. And like this could be the next wave of energy for the TEC. And like, what can we do to help them and support them as they step into greater leadership. So that's what that's what gives me excitement about the TEC right now. I will pass to I came in a little bit late. Nate, have you gone?
I have not, but I will go. Yeah, so it's been temperature check, weather check. It's been kind of I don't know. It's hot and cold. There's little pockets of excitement. I think I kind of reiterate what Gideon said in the fact that there's a lot of new young leaders and coming into the TEC that are fresh with a different mindset and a different approach towards how we should get things done. I think that's really exciting, and we should kind of cultivate that. And then, with people being gone, it kind of felt a little bit dead and down, and it is kind of, you get a little bit worrisome there for a second. But I think that, as we start to regroup, I think we're going to be heading to more sunshine. So I think that's a really good thing. But outside of that, I think there's a lot of directional issues that we have to figure out as a group of stewards. And I think that's really important that we get that foothold going. But that's it for me. And I'll pass it over to Chewy.
Thank you, Nate. Temperature check. It's great to be back. I've been just like touching base and getting a sense of how everything has been going for the last couple of weeks. So it's really good to be back and to see Mitch and Tam, and I think I had seen Livy and Gideon in other calls, but it's really good to be back with everyone already in place. And I do agree with this like general intentions of just like reducing the amount of bureaucracy that we have in the community. I really echo with that intention. And also Teams is dead officially. Teams is dead. We needed to move on. There were a lot of lessons learned, but probably there was just like a bunch of time in which it just like became static and we didn't move anywhere. So I wanted to take a chance in this comeback to address this issue, take some of the lessons learned and starting to structure central like communications core team. So I really want this to work. I really want to get back communications back up and running. But I feel that there are many issues that we need to work before, and almost none of these have anything to do with how we're doing comms, because I do feel that Acid Laser has been doing a great job, and Team Manu, they all have been doing a great job. But I feel that we should stop in that other sense, in our cultural sense, and work out some of our differences, change. Interchange like some opinions and how we want to approach different things. So I feel this could be like the biggest implementation of lessons learned from Teams, and I can't wait to do it. I'm very excited to have this back up and running in the next weeks, possibly the sprint. I'll pass it to Tam. Have you gone?
Okay, Manu and Edu. Go ahead, Manu.
Thanks, Nate. Yeah, for me, it's lukewarm but getting warmer. I'm working on a couple things that I think can bring in revenue without compromising our values of advancing token engineering, without regressing into or giving priority to short-term profits. As luck would have it, I guess being true to the whole shelling point thing, what I'm working on is actually could very well be added into what Gideon's been working on as an addition to the token curation channel. So we'll see how those two fit together. And some exciting things on marketing, some video campaign that is ready for us to start producing. So that should get some engagement. And excited that everyone's back, Town's back, Meech's back. Cool. And I'll pass it to Edu.
Let me turn on my camera briefly. It's nice to see everyone here. Temperature check. It's a little bit, if blue, it's a temperature. We'll say blue. It's the temperature for today. So on my case, I feel like it was kind of a peculiar August and beginning of September. There's an ambulance that I hope doesn't get filtered here at the sound. So basically, for me, the temperature check, it's nice to have everyone back. We have had conversations with different folks, and I think it's interesting to see what's ahead for us. In general sense, this is probably will be my last Stewards call, since I'm no longer a Steward. So I just wanted to basically provide an update today on general things that concern Communitas. And that's the reason why I'm here today. So that's why it's also blue. So back to you, Tam.
Nate
Yeah.
is getting to.
So, yep. So the next thing we're going to go through is our check on our votes in Gardens and Snapshot. Right now we have in Gardens our retroactive funding for the servers for Shell, and retroactive funding for Swag Shop expenses. If you have tokens in the abstain, it would be really nice to swarm around, I guess, this one, since it's got 5 supporters right now, and then swarm to this next one if we can. I do think this is something that we should get past if we can, so please do. That being said, Snapshot, we haven't had anything since the Stewards Working Group Transformation Proposal, which passed with 143,000. Currently, there is a potential proposal being proposed by SIM about a changed compromise address. It was within Gardens. I responded by, making sure that we went through the advice process, probably to SIM's frustration, but it's one of those things that if you can get engaged on, I think these types of actions are very important for the community to engage in, but it's also very important that we act quickly. So please engage with this so we can get it back up in Gardens to help out with our community member who had a wallet that was compromised. So with that being said, that's all the votes that are happening within Gardens and Snapshot that we need to discuss. Does anybody have any comments on the change of address potential proposal? Does anybody know of that proposal or needs to be updated on it?
I have a question. I mean, I don't want to just generate conflict or anything like that, but remember a while ago, I think after the Commons upgrade, there was this discussion for some compromised addresses that needed remint, and as far as I can remember, I think we agreed on it being last time. It's just I feel that the whole vesting for the TEC tokens is just pretty much a debt. And if because people are irresponsible with the custody of their wallets and they lose access to this TEC token, I mean, I do get that there's value in their governance participation, which is the argument that pretty much convinced all of us the last time. But I feel that at this point, and especially if we're struggling with common pool funds and just all of these issues that we're having right now, I feel that we're pretty much not doing ourselves a favor by like releasing like more like tokens that are potentially going to be starting like to be sold after the vesting period ends. So I feel that having like a strong hand in this kind of matter, even though we have no bad intention for the people that is requesting this this token is this reposition of their tokens, I just feel that it kind of like doesn't align our current challenges at the moment. But yeah, I wanted to share this point of view to see how everybody feels about it.
I agree with Shui. I think we agree that that was the last time. And secondly, the user who requested is someone who has barely have any activity in our server. As someone who barely has any engagement on the forum. So it's like, yeah, I will save that circumstances for someone who actually it's a active participant of the community. Just as a honoring that, but I don't think doing all of this for one single person it's something we should do. I think what I will suggest to do is to just, and I can put on the forum, wait until there is more people that needs the same situation, and when you have a bundle of people that has to go through that, then we can do it. But for one single person, I don't think it's doable.
I honestly don't understand the problem.
So, yeah, just to kind of, yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah, the last time we talked about this, I maybe I'm remembering wrong, but I think the discussion was, oh, we're gonna do this with this XYZ addresses, and it's the last time before the hatch. And that was like kind of a public call for like, if you have problems with this, then you come and do it. But then there was another person after that wanted to change their address, and I remember we had this discussion in the Stewards call, and I said I could help people to go through a process if they needed. And then this guy came talk to me, and at some point he didn't want to go through all the process, so he never ended up asking. But I remember we talked that like it's totally the responsibility of the person to submit a proposal, and they can just, I mean, we're not gatekeepers of a proposal being submitted to the gardens. You know, like it's open, and I don't understand why it would have to be resubmitted to the forum, or like the rules we have is that it needs to stay on the forum for 5 days. If nobody submitted any feedback, it could still go to the gardens. It would just probably not pass. But then that's the proposal engine working as it should, right? It's just like people are not voting for it if they don't care about it.
Yeah, I agree with that. Like I kind of, it's one of those things where, changing the address simply because you want to have a fresh wallet to change, to have your TEC tokens in is one thing. It's another thing to have, $8,000 that you spent on, $8,000+ that you spent on supporting the TEC being slowly drained over time. I think that's another issue that we should take into consideration because his wallet is being drained slowly as the vesting tokens are being released. And so I think that's something that's really important to consider. If that was your wallet, I would hope that, we would have a response for you as well. And so that's one thing to take into consideration. My only objection to this was not following the advice process. And also, we're making changes to the smart contracts within our DAO. And so this is something that really needs to be evaluated from a community perspective. And if we're going to change the parameters of the token manager to the revoke vesting parameter from to disputable voting, I think that opens up a lot of possibilities that need to be addressed. And I hope that Sim was able to address that with some of you. He addressed it with me. With that being said, I think that this is something that we should have a process for. But but if we have precedent, then we have precedent. So, but I also think this is something that the individual who is affected needs to come up and take part in this and own it. And so that's another issue. But hopefully we have other comments as well.
Yeah, in essence, I think it's a little bit what Olivia mentioned. Like, at some point, the user should have gone to the forum, put up the proposal, like recurring into a third party like SEM to do it. It doesn't bring much trust. And we asked them on the help channel, like, what else can we done, or how else can we support? And he immediately replied, just vote for yes. So there's very little conversation there. So I think that at least the garden proposal should be put by him or by her rather than Sam. I don't see why Sam is here at this point. Like it doesn't make sense. It's not very cohesive. The process not very clear. The process. So yeah, for me at least.
Does anybody else have any thoughts on it?
Yeah, I guess I have some thoughts. Sem incorrectly said that we're both talking to this person. I'm not talking to this person, just Sem is. So I know the name of this person, but I don't have any of his contact information. I definitely agree that the person making the request, the token holder, the wallet owner should be the one making the request, not Sem. That's also some feedback I would share. But I think the reason the person came to SEM is it is not possible right now for someone to request vesting to stop. We actually need to modify the code, the smart contract. So SEM would be the person who would update the code to allow a request that will stop vesting for an address. So there's a two-step process here. The first would be to modify the code so that somebody can't even request, so that the smart contract can even stop vesting on a single address. So that's the first thing that would happen. And then the second thing that would happen, so if we approve that as a community, then the person can then make a request to have vesting stopped on his own or her own address. And then that second step would probably be like stop vesting and then restart vesting of the same amount of tokens at the same schedule to a new address. So it's sort of, SEM needs to be involved in this because nobody else could modify the code for us for the TC.
And then those permissions need to be reset again after it's all completed to where we move the revoke vesting back away from disputable voting. I just wanted to add that part too, yeah.
Is that what the thought was? That then we would allow it and then execute and then disallow it, or revert back to the original?
He never mentioned the reverting back, and so that was another issue where I was like, well, there's no, because if we just have the revoke vesting to disputable voting, then we have a spam of a bunch of different accounts who want to revoke their vesting. We open up a can of worms, and not really interested in doing that, but. These are all thoughts that really we need to engage this issue on the forum, because I do think it's really important and has a lot of implications in terms of what happens to our smart contracts. And so if you can, please voice your opinion on this within the next couple of days before it happens in Gardens. Otherwise, we might think about challenging this proposal if it does go through regardless. So, yeah.
It doesn't look super complicated. I could probably do this if SEM's a bottleneck.
That's cool. That's also what Sem said. I also just want to say, in general, I do support us helping a TEC token holder not lose 8,000 TEC tokens because their account was compromised. It happens. It's not necessarily, it happens to a lot of people. I don't think we should say that this person was irresponsible with their wallet. There's all kinds of scams that people fall for. So I wouldn't use that as a strike against moving forward with supporting this request.
I second that as well. Yep, and just as long as clarity is there, that's where I will support, as long as we have a process and all concerns are addressed. But yes, moving forward from that, I think, Olivia, you wanted to talk about the Polis report that we've had for the sentiment analysis. And I'll hand it over to you.
Yeah, thank you. So, yeah, I was happy that we had quite a lot of people voting. 69 people voted. And there was some groupings. I'm not sure, like, yeah, I asked advice to Gideon to how to share this, but I don't know. I think it's just going through some of them. Because it was a lot of questions. I'm not sure what is the best way to share. But I wanted to give some, like, there's some positive ones that had a wide range of agreement. So I am interested in reading about TC's updates. I think this is kind of, it's a good signal for us that maybe our updates are not arriving to people in the best way, or maybe there's another format we can explore. How can we make TC's updates arrive to people? Should we have like a newsletter in a different format, or maybe we can share something on Twitter other every period of time? Just yeah, something to explore. And I feel aligned with the TC's mission, vision, and values. 86% of agreement. 46 people voted. I think it's a good number also. And the TC has the potential to become the Shelley point for the token engineering. So I feel like there was a sense of morale that was kind of down within the TC, but it feels like in the wider perspective, there's still a very positive sense to the success of TC's mission. And also there was one action to improve in our retrospective that also had a big agreement to it, that the TC needs a partnership template so relationships are formalized and expectations are cleared. So that's something we can bring maybe out of this call if anyone would like to take ownership on that, or how can, or maybe this opens another discussion of like, when we have something to be done, how are we managing that? Are working groups taking care of it? How can we have maybe a board of things that could be picked up by contributors in the TC and some of these discussions? And also, I need to be notified when a proposal enters the voting stage. There was not so many people voting for this because it came, someone submitted this question later, so not everybody voted. But also, I think is something for us to think about. Maybe it requires some type of technical implementation. It just feels like there's a lot of actions to be implemented here that could make stakeholders feel more confident. And then on the positive side, the TC doesn't need community stewards. 66% of the people think that the TC does need community stewards. But also I think it's interesting that 25% abstained. So, and 7% thinks that we don't need stewards from 39 people. I think it was quite significant too. I think with the change of the Stewards proposal, there's already a lot that changes within this statement. And I know what the TC is planning for the next 6 months. 74% of the people don't know. And this is an important message for us to have a more clear, to have a roadmap in the first place, and to have a more outspoken position about what are our plans. And then this, I thought it was also interesting. I prioritize financial rewards over alternative rewards like learning and having meaningful experiences. So 69% of the people do not prioritize financial rewards, and 19% do prioritize financial rewards. Most of the people were not waiting for the token thought to end to sell all their tokens. That also made my heart a little more chill. And yeah, I think those are the ones I wanted to share to have to start a small debate, because there's a lot others, but I don't think we have time to go through all of them. And I encourage each one to look at the sentiment for each working group. I think it's down here. So you can all see the list. And yeah, maybe if everyone wants to get into this document now and beyond the ones that were spoken out, if you want to bring another one up too.
Yeah, I that's a really awesome job with this sentiment analysis, and we get a really good response from it, and I think that's really great. The one that got me kind of chilled was the as a stakeholder, I feel represented by TEC community stewards, which was kind of neutral for the most part, and then a split between yes and no's. That's something that I feel like we really should reflect on, and kind of say, if our job is to, as stewards, is to reflect the community's, intent and participation, then we should probably reflect on that statement there. That's the one I'm really focused on at the moment. But I would like to hear some rounds of thoughts from everybody, if we can do that real quick. Would you like to start us off, Tam?
Yeah, I think there is. Yeah, I had to look at it earlier today, and I'm looking at it now. I think that I agree that was the one that jumped out at me too. But I also can see it. I feel like most of these were things we intuitively already knew, and it was sort of confirming strongly some of our own, I'd say, hunches about where we can improve. There was this one group, 9 participants, who this one was very surprising to me. TEC extracts more value than it provides. There was a group of 9 people, Group B, that felt very strongly that was true. And I feel that's something that I'm not 100% sure how, what that means to those 9 people. I'd be very interested to hear from the group of people who felt that way, actually, and to understand what specific criticism that they would make that would reflect that statement. And then just the statements around feeling like they belong to the community and feeling valued. I think there is, I think 88% of 9 people, I think that's what it is. So it's probably like 8 people of that group. Yeah, I don't know that I have so much more to add. There wasn't so much other than those 2 things that really I felt jumped out at me. There's one, I'm satisfied with the tone and narrative the TEC uses in social media. That was, for the larger group, less than half really thought that was true. And that's also something to, I thought, sit up and take notice about. Yeah, I thought just in general, there's just a number that, I think we already suspected was the case, and it feels like some of those suspicions were validated. I won't take up any more time, but I will pass to Wonka.
Well, for me, it's interesting. I think that sometimes it happens that we lose the memory, and sometimes there's people so new that sometimes we still lack to have a parity of information from all the contributors, and also that can affect in the how each one perceives themselves. But and also that each one have different needs, and it's interesting to see that most of the people said that financial rewards are the most important to them, and yeah, it also reflects how this can connect to the well-being in our everyday life and sustenance. I will pass it to Nate.
We'll go ahead and pass it to Mitch.
Can I
I don't really have anything.
steal it quick? I just wanted
Yeah.
to point also. Yeah, I wanted to point this one too, that the TEC should continue funding TE public goods while we work on a revenue model. Because I know there was a clear cut of like, oh, we shouldn't fund anything else. But there was 45% that said we should continue, 25 that we should not, and 32 that abstained. So I thought that was an important one too. Sorry, who had the word next that I interrupted?
I think it was me. Yeah, I feel like a lot of these echo things that I was already thinking, so I'm not really surprised by any of these. But it's cool to feel that like maybe I'm not the only one thinking this. So I think this survey was awesome, and I'm really glad that you put it together, Livy. And I'll pass it to Edu.
I don't have a strong opinion on this. I think it's nice is that we have people engaging on such a low state of the things. So it's nice to see people engaging on the pool. So yeah, I think that's a win for us, regardless of the result. So I would just like to know eventually what will be the action items for whatever we pick as fundamental result from this.
I guess I'll just open up the mic for anybody who has comments on this right now.
One thing that popped out to me, well, first of all, I love the fact that you did this, Olivia. It's I just feel like getting this kind of feedback from the community, we just need to get into a habit of doing this regularly. And it's encouraging that we got this much feedback. I agree, I do. It's great. The thing that popped out to me is I prioritize financial rewards over alternative rewards like learning and having meaningful experiences. Very low, right? Like we're getting, and this kind of corresponds with some of the feedback I've gotten from individuals who are coming in. I think the TEC has other things to offer aside from just financial compensation, whether it's a sense of meaning and mission or it's experience, like the ability to learn here. And as we go into this next phase, this is going to be super important for us to really embrace, we're not going to have that much money to be throwing around. And so finding ways where we can engage people and help them feel like they're getting some value out of the TEC aside from just money. I think that's going to be super important for us. So I was very encouraged by that number 45.
Anybody else? I'll give a Edu hard count of 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay. We will continue on. Thank you, Livy, for doing that. It's really awesome. So the next thing we're going to do is updates from the Communitas working group. Edu, if you want to go over that real quick.
Yes. So A few things that will happen in the incoming weeks, and a few things that regarding stewardship. So far, and the Communitas Working Group won't have a steward, or that's not. I'm not anyone to point out to a new steward. So we will sort of aim to be or take on the spirit of decentralization and just leave the decision making to the group, since there are not key decisions to be taken actually. So basically, Irem and Costa and LBS and everyone else who has been part of the working group, they will keep meeting, same times, same schedules. There will be some changes, for example, to orientation call on timings, and to the timing of the working group sync, mainly to fit Irem's schedule that has been changed or overlaps with Sampo. So we wanted to sort of make more space so it doesn't overlap with other working group syncs or the orientation. Having this call one after the other one, it was not very productive. Having orientation, then work, then community call, and then the council. There were Wednesday, Thursday, where all of those all those three things matched the same time, and it was impossible. So we are sort of giving more breathing space for those two calls. That's on one end. I had my last sort of sync with someone who wanted to partner with the TEC, which was Claros. Juanca will provide update on that. We had a sync with Claros, and Irem joined to the call to just take a look at how we sort of handle partnerships, what's the conversation that we have with other folks, and just for her to have a chance to check on that. So she was shadowing that call. The update on Claros will be given by Juanca when time is due. Besides that, we will do some changes on the Discord. We create a private channel called Community Offering that it's on the process of being created. We will encourage to the stewards to be the first ones to do the community offering. And then eventually we are changing the roles on Discord. So please, the stewards from rewards, working groups, and gravity, there will be just a message on your text channel just providing guidance and asking you which roles are needed and which roles are not needed on our Discord. So you can have like a feedback on that. This process was already put on the forum for quite a while. So if you want to know what I'm talking about, just go back to the forum. There is an update on the membership update. Besides that, we also had a conversation with NT and Beer 100 regarding Other Space, which is a tool that we are starting to utilize. As the Laser created 2 badges for us just to test it out. NT and Bear 100 are owning this process to basically build a stronger membership sort of incentives and process for us. And then eventually this Other Space initiative will be matching a reputation that was proposed also. And I hope that in the forum they will update with this reputation proposal that's sort of incoming. All of this is still on the works, so I'm just letting you know in ahead. So everyone's sort of not weirded out when this happens. I think that's pretty much everything on the update of the meetings the same day and just 1 hour of changes. And I will provide an update on like a sort of I call that a report for my departure as steward on the forum, and I think that will be my last action to take here. For that, the rest of the stuff will be on off during provide support item and joining the working groups updates. But the next orientation call will be my last orientation call, and we started dividing the orientation calls half and a half, so she will be taking over the orientation call. And that's pretty much all, I think. So I want to open the floor to anyone just to make sure that there is any question regarding Communitas, anything that needs to be clarified, whatever it is. So 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. All right. My intention for Communitas eventually.
I'll just say, it's not really a question. It's just, it's not going to be the same without you. So just acknowledging that and, looking forward to this transition. I think it'll be interesting to see what a stewardless working group looks like. I'm not 100% I'm on board thinking that's going to work, but I think also seeing how that evolves. I think there's some really strong people in Communitas who have a lot of dedication, so it could be interesting. But I think that maybe it's something that other stewards can help cover, I would say. So maybe one or more of us could join Communitas for the next few weeks just to make sure that this transition goes smoothly.
Yes, and it will be basically also to show support. I will still join those calls for the rest of the month, but if, like, just having other stewards present will help, the folks who join the call to have, if they have questions or down the line, just to feel seen and supported. My main intention with this new process is that we provide visibility and acknowledgement to the contributors that we currently have. So I have been mentoring Irene for the past month and a half, and Gideon is doing so. So I think I intended to leave it in good hands, and I think that she's more than capable to do so. So that's pretty much all, I think.
Thanks, Edu. Go ahead.
Yeah, sorry. Go ahead, Tim.
Okay.
I had one last thing to mention, since I just was on the top of the, which is the proposal that was posted on the forum. I added the link to the agenda. Is what it was done by one of the folks from Token Economics DAO, Livy, that we talked at some point with them. I just want to acknowledge this. I shared on the Steward channel. I will share it again, mainly because I feel this is one of the few proposals that we have had from external party and that has value directly to our token economic advancing token engineering model. So I just want to acknowledge this, make sure that it gets follow up, and make sure that it goes to community call and that someone explain him how to propose it in Gardens, basically, because that will be the next steps. I'm pretty sure he doesn't know how to propose in Gardens. So probably we will need to take him by the hand if he chooses to do so. So I just want to make sure that happens. So that's it. Back to you, Nate.
Thanks, Edu. Yeah, I'll pass it to Gideon for the overview of the curation services.
Thanks, Nate. And Edu, man, you are going to be really missed. I just want to say, just your wisdom and yeah, I'm going to miss you. So yeah, just I want to maybe come back next week with a little bit more in-depth view of this curation service. Basically we were Tam and I and some of the Sampo folks were moving forward on this token engineering request board. We've had to put that on ice for some time, and so we had to kind of scramble to figure out what the first service would be that we're rolling out for Sampo. And luckily, I love how synchronicity works. The folks from DAOstack, Shahar came to Edu and talked about this curation service that they were building, and it sounded really interesting. I was like, okay, well, let's dive in and figure this out. And it turns out this is a pretty cool thing. So I think most people know what this is, but I'm just going to take like a minute or two to explain what this is, because you're going to start to see a lot more information about this coming out over the next few weeks, because we're going to try to crank this out by like the middle of October and get this going. So basically what it is, it's a way for people to, for the community to post links in the TEC Discord server, and then have other people interact with those posts through emojis. And then what this does is basically a Discord bot that then basically it aggregates that feedback, the emoji feedback, and uses that as a way of curating what the community views as the most interesting shares. Okay, so if you can kind of think of it like a community or like an attention management system for the commons, right? So like as people if we can get this going, when people share stuff and other people find it interesting, this will basically kind of percolate up. And the way that this will work is there will be engagement on Discord, both in posting, but then also in interacting with emoji responses. And then that will get sent over to basically a database with a Django front end that will allow us to edit the rules. So we can over time customize the curation rules and have like some pretty sophisticated rules. But in the beginning, it's just going to start really simply. And then from that, there'll be an output of like greatest hits. And so in this first release, and we're going to keep this very simple as a minimum viable service. That's the strategy, is try to keep this very simple in the beginning, just so that we can get this released. The outputs will just be two types of, we'll send it in two directions. One is the token gated channel. So the TEC token holder channel, we're going to take the greatest hits. So the stuff that the community kind of sees as most interesting in terms of articles about token engineering, DAOs, et cetera, that will go into that channel as kind of like another experiment with increasing token utility, perceived token utility. But the other application that I'm more excited about is we're working with Acid Laser and a comms team to take this output and help it basically improve the Twitter feed. So we'll get the community doing curation of like really interesting stuff that will help build engagement on Twitter. So we'll also recognize like the people who are contributing the posts, the links, and the authors to try to get a little bit more virality on Twitter. We'll go into more detail later. I really want to come back and get some feedback from you all on this, because I think for this service to succeed, we're really going to need everybody lending a hand and figuring out ways to customize this, how we're going to, like, what do we want to do with this in the future? We've already got this first use case kind of lined up, and we're going to try to keep it simple and just so that we can execute in October. But this thing has lots and lots of potential. We're not paying anything for the development of this. So this is DAOstack is working with Tangible AI, and they're developing this for us. This isn't going to be an exclusive TEC thing. This will be rolled out in other communities. But we're the ones who are going first, and so we're getting to kind of scope and spec this. And they're a really good crew, and we've had so far we've had really good engagement with them, and we're super excited about this. So last thing to mention is that I think that there's some potential to use this for individual working groups who want to be able to curate knowledge from within their individual Discord channels. So the obvious example of this is the Consilience Library and the Omega Working Group. Talked to them, talked to Shubnam and Mert about this. They seem excited about it. They're trying to figure out how this will fit into their overall plans. But so I think that there's some potential there. So I'll come back to you with more details, but I want to just get this on your radar because we're already starting to make some noise about this. And one last thing to just note is that if you look at the Gitcoin grant 15, it's a GR, whatever it's called, Gitcoin round 15. I wrote the pitch for that and I centered it around this project. The money's not going to go to this project. It still goes to the TEC because that's just the way the wallet is set up, which is fine. But one of the things I learned from doing fundraising back in the old days when I was doing nonprofit stuff is that making like a very specific project specific pitch is a much easier way to get people excited. So we'll test it out and just see how that works. So basically Acid Laser and Nirem and a bunch of the Sambo team are working on that and trying to like get that pulled together over this next week. I mean, it's already up, and if you've been looking at the Twitter feed, there's mentions of this. But we'll come back to you soon in the next couple of days with some requests for help in trying to get some awareness around this. So that's it. And I don't know if anybody has any questions, but you can ping me individually, or you can just ask her here.
Thanks, Gideon. That's really awesome. I'm really excited about this. But since we're getting close to the top hour, I want to make space for other working group updates. Perhaps, Mitch, you have something for rewards, and Livy for SoftGov.
Cool. Well, I just opened the latest quant round that's going to catch up from basically the end of July until September 11th, I think. So that's open. I think, Tam, you're on there to quantify. And then I'm going to wait until our Wednesday meeting for the reward system to figure out how much TEC we need to disperse to catch up on basically a month worth of rewards. That's it for now. I'll pass it to Livy.
I don't have much to add. I'll pass to Tim.
Well, I don't have so much to add, but I do have the next item on the agenda if we're jumping to that, unless we want to do any more working group updates.
No, I think that's it.
Okay, cool. So, sort of towards the end of before I left for vacation, we had moved our Stewards weekly to our Stewards call to a biweekly cadence. And I realized that felt really nice, actually. And there's been, I think, a lot of agreement that we have too many meetings and we should be relying on more off async, out of meeting async coordination and less calls. So I want to hear some perspectives on keeping this biweekly cadence. So a Stewards call every other week. I don't know if we have enough time to sort of pass through everybody. We have 3 minutes left, maybe by a show of hands, or if you drop your thoughts in the channel. What do you guys think? Do we want, is it a favor?
We could do it. If you unmute, you're in favor of this. If not, don't unmute.
Yeah. Or maybe even or we could see that, or drop in the chat. Like, are you in favor of keeping this biweekly cadence, or does anyone feel strongly that we have to have a meeting every week to continue advancing? I see thumbs up from Mitch. Cool. I see Gideon said cool. Nate, I think we could experiment and keep this biweekly. So that's 4 of us so far. I don't know if anyone agree. Okay, 5. Cool. Okay, it looks like this is probably the consensus. I'll just throw up a poll in our Stewards channel just to get more opinion, but it looks like we'll keep the biweekly. So if that does happen, then this would be, we wouldn't have a meeting next week, and we would start jumping like that. Back to you, Nate.
Yeah, so the last thing on the agenda is just a reminder that, as stewards, I think it's really important that we set the example by engaging on the forum and making sure that we engage with a huge amount of really awesome topics that need to be discussed. So if you can, just make it a habit into, once a week, go in, find something that's worthy of talking about and put your opinions toward it. Yeah, go ahead, Edu.
Sorry to interrupt you, Nate. Just briefly in the last minute we have, does anyone knows who will take care of the bots since V5V is not so present anymore? Because it will become a thing to talk about eventually. We are currently trying to get the information from orientation data automatically, and the bot is not working. And we tried with Juanca many things, it didn't work. So if anyone can provide a solution to that to the community working group, highly appreciate it. Thank you.
I think Vi will still be around, but let me know what happens actually, because he's not going to be around as much as before, but he'll still be around, and I think might even be interested in helping fix that if there was a problem.
Perfect. Thank you.
All right. Well, that is it, and thank you for joining the Stewards Weekly.
Thanks, Nate.
Thank you.
Thanks, everyone. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.